Good day, Star Wars gamers. Thank you for watching this RPG a Day video for August 4th, 2019. Today's prompt is the word share, and I'd like to share with you the story of how I got into role-playing games. Growing up, I was always into video games. I like the instant gratification and visual stimulation of video games, and it really all comes full circle for me because I was playing an RPG, Skyrim, and I ended up getting into actual role playing games. I never thought I'd be someone who would play Dungeons and Dragons, so this is sort of a interesting turn of events for me. I play a lot of Skyrim, and I really enjoyed the character creation portion of that game. I liked to recreate characters like Robin Hood, Conan the Barbarian, and Highlander, and see how these characters would act in the world of Skyrim. I played the game quite a bit and found myself wanting something more tangible and more fulfilling, and maybe something even a bit more social. And so I also had an artistic itch that I needed to scratch that video games weren't providing. I was also into the Metal Gear series. Still am. I still enjoy this series quite a bit. And I would sort of do a similar thing with the Metal Gear Online character creation. I would create characters that might fit in that universe. I created a Blade avatar and would go through the game and pretend that I was hunting vampires. So role playing has always been sort of something that I would do in video games. So one day I was looking at YouTube looking for Metal Gear videos, and I found a action figure review for the Venom Snake figure, and it opened a whole new door for me of action figure reviews and customizing. I found Glenn Webb's YouTube channel. He passed away a while ago, but it's a real shame because he was very fun and charismatic and had a very bright future ahead of him. He was also very talented. I was amazed by his talent of taking these old Marvel and wrestling action figures and swapping the limbs, repainting them, and giving these action figures new life. He worked mostly with the 6-inch Marvel Legends format, and I also got into the action figure photography and diorama building scene. The ACBA community is very fun. There's a YouTuber named Al Figures. I'd say check him out. He builds dioramas, and the action figure photography is really cool. It's a really cool art form. It feels sort of funny getting into action figures as an adult, but it is truly an art form. I'd say it's easy to learn but hard to master, and the ACBA community mostly works with Marvel 6-inch Marvel figures. I enjoy X-Men and Blade, but my forte really is with Star Wars. So I went and found some Star Wars diorama YouTube channels like Budget Jedi and the Diorama Workshop by Frank Diario. And they would make dioramas for the 3 3/4-inch Star Wars toys. And that's I have a collection of Star Wars toys from my childhood, and I found this would be an excellent way to display my toys and also scratch that artistic itch of mine. Sort of a side note, Frank Diario has been doing displays at Star Wars Celebration for many years, and this year he actually did a Scarif display from Rogue One using the Star Wars Legion miniatures from Fantasy Flight, and that was a really cool thing to see. Him working with Fantasy Flight. I'm kind of skipping ahead a bit because that's where I'm getting to. So I wanted to make these dioramas myself. I wanted to make a Hoth diorama. So I went on YouTube looking for ways to make artificial snow and snow landscapes. So I found some, train set videos, and I also found channels like the Train Tutor and Luke's APS. And this opened yet another door for me because up until this point, I had not heard of Warhammer 40k or any sort of miniature wargaming at all. And it was really fascinating to me because it was a sort of an action oriented game using physical characters, and this really appealed to me. However, the Warhammer 40k universe isn't quite my cup of tea, and so I was just focusing on making dioramas at this point. But with perfect timing, near the end of 2017, the Star Wars Legion was announced, and this was right up my alley. I thought this was the perfect way to show my love of creating scenery and painting these characters, and maybe even doing some customization, swapping out limbs and whatnot. So I went out and a while later, I went out and bought a few of the minis, and have plans to get into the game as soon as I can. So one day I was on YouTube again looking for Star Wars Legion content, and I found the Steve is Bored channel, and he was talking about using Star Wars Legion miniatures to play the Fantasy Flight RPGs for Star Wars, like Age of Rebellion and Edge of the Empire. And this was yet another discovery for me, and this really got me into the role-playing game scene. Shortly after I watched this video, I went out and bought this book on eBay, and that's my plan. That's pretty much how I got into RPGs. Now, if I knew then what I know now, I would have purchased the Imperial Assault box, because that game has quite a few more miniatures, a better variety. Star Wars Legion mostly just has soldiers and some vehicles, but Imperial Assault has a variety of soldiers, vehicles, monsters, robots, officers. So it's, I'd say, more bang for your buck if you're going to use miniatures in your role-playing game. So it's interesting how, this whole thing came full circle. I was into a role-playing game. I never would have gotten into Dungeons and Dragons straight away, but I went from playing a role-playing game like Skyrim, got into action figures, then from action figures got into the diorama photography, and then went into the scenery, and then from the scenery I got into wargaming, and from wargaming I got into our role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games. So it's quite an interesting journey for me, and I'd like to know how you got into role-playing games. Did you go straight into Dungeons and Dragons, or did you have a similar journey to mine? Let me know in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you tomorrow with another RPG A Day video. So until next time, may the Force be with you.